Hi class, welcome to the Techmakers instructional video on how to conduct an interview for your startup. Before we get into instructions on how to conduct your own interview, we're going to tell you how we conducted ours and about the results that we got. We interviewed 16 different people across our 3 customer segments. Our customer segments are as follows: inventors, companies, and end users. We had to create a different set of questions for each of our customer segments. The following is a sampling of questions that we asked inventors and company representatives. We wanted to know what their biggest challenges were. We wanted to know about their sales cycle, their channels of distribution, challenges that they face, why they think they're facing those challenges, and what forms of marketing they have underway. We then addressed issues concerning our own marketplace and conducting business with inventors and companies by asking if they were comfortable with our business model. Would they pay the fees that we were asking them to? Would they use our platform to create new products or list existing ones? Interview questions for inventors and company representatives were similar. Now, here are some notable quotes from the interviews with inventors and company representatives. One of the most important things that we have set out to do is mix crowdfunding with e-commerce. And as you can see from the quotes, our inventors agree with the business model. In fact, they applaud it. From some of the responses we've received, we were told that the existing crowdfunding marketplaces don't do a good job of helping inventors market and sell their products after their projects have been funded. So that supports our initial idea to mix the two types of marketplaces in one offering. One of the main issues after a successful project funding is that the inventors want to gain exposure, and the current marketplace offerings don't help them gain that exposure. And when we interviewed larger companies, their representatives told us that they had similar concerns as the small inventors. Their concern is exposure. They want greater market exposure, and they want to make their products available in one place where end users can get educated and find all sorts of similar products. Further, they would like to use our system to gain insights on what type of products end users are most interested in. So that covers our first 2 customer segments. For the third segment, we interviewed 6 different end users. We wanted to find out how familiar they were with connected devices and the concept of the Internet of Things. We also wanted to gauge their interest in using our platform. Below is a sampling of questions that we asked our end users. We asked them to describe the Internet of Things and name a few products or companies that fall under the heading of connected device or the Internet of Things. We asked them if they were curious to learn about the latest technological advances and where they currently get all of their information to stay up to date. We also asked them if they would use a platform like ours to discover, learn about, and buy the latest connected devices and smart devices and software. Would they use our platform to contribute to the creation of new devices or pitch ideas for their own? We asked them if they were interested in buying more connected devices, either to replace existing devices with more advanced ones, or just to own the latest and greatest devices. We also wanted to know what types of devices they were most interested in. After interviewing our end users, we learned that most of them couldn't give a technical definition of the Internet of Things, but most of them knew that we were talking about devices that connect to the Internet or their smartphones. The top devices named were smartphones and home appliances with Internet connections that can be managed through either a smartphone or a tablet. All of our end users said that they would like to learn more about the Internet of Things and would use a platform like the one that we demonstrated to them. They all said that they would use our platform to request or suggest features to new devices that were being created on our site, and they would pitch their own ideas if they had the technical know-how. They also all said that they would buy devices that they were interested in, if they could afford them. For conclusions that our team drew from the interviews, please reference our assignment submission. So now we're going to walk you through the steps of how we conducted our interview, how we found people to talk to, and make sure that you're able to recreate it on your own for your own startup. So step 1. With your team, create a list of questions that you think would be most relevant to your project and customers at the early stages of your business model. Don't ask questions that will get you a yes or no answer. Always be open to refining these questions as your project makes advances. Make sure you know everything about your product and can answer questions about it. Step 2. Finding people to interview. Start with your close contacts, if applicable, to see if they can generate useful feedback. If they can't help, ask them if they know someone who can. Search through social media. Use Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and others to solicit feedback from potential customers and partners. Make sure you spend enough time learning about your interviewee. They will appreciate it. You don't want to have to ask basic questions for information that you can easily find on your own. And always act professionally, whether you are emailing, calling, or meeting your potential customer face-to-face. Step 3. Dig deep and ask follow-up questions. Don't settle for yes or no answers. If your interviewee mentions something important that you hadn't thought of, write it down and ask follow-up questions. Step 4. Send messages to as many potential customers as possible. It's likely that 90% of them won't have time to respond right away, but don't give up. Step 5, probably the most important, always thank them for their time and keep the door open for future feedback and follow-up. And now, here are a few more useful tips for interviewing your potential customers. Number 1, make a proper introduction. Explain the situation and the objective of your session. You're building a prototype and you're seeking transparent feedback. First, show them your prototype and don't explain anything about it yet. If you've met face-to-face, let them experience it. Pay attention to what they're looking at first. Ask them to behave as if you were not in the room and to think out loud. Is there anything missing? Do they understand the idea? Number 2, let them speak. Don't interrupt. Take notes about everything. Listening is the most important part. Number 3, try not to overanalyze. If you're not sure about what they meant by an answer, then ask them to rephrase their answer, or ask them to elaborate on an answer to help them develop their thinking. Number 4, ask open-ended questions. Don't look for yes or no answers. Number 5, try not to influence their answers. Avoid creating a bias in your favor. And the last step, remember that finding out what they like is nice, but finding out what they don't like is important. Ask what they would change about your prototype, what features are missing. And there you have it, folks, how to conduct your own interview. Thanks for watching.